Pierce is looking kind of sus. Call a meeting, an emergency meeting.
God.
He's in the vent. Guys, we're talking about The Thing. 1982, not the 2000 version or whatever.
It was like 2011, I think.
It doesn't matter because we're not talking about it. We're talking about The Thing 1982. I'm Justin, your host, and Pierce is the other host. So technically we're both co-hosts.
I am Pierce, the co-host. What? Okay. Yeah, so starting off Lovecraft month strong, very strong. We have one of the greatest horror movies ever made, John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yep. You want to tell them why we're talking about this?
We're talking about this, and we're doing Lovecraft month in general. Well, we're talking about this because we're doing Lovecraft month. But we're doing Lovecraft month to promote our spin-off show, kind of. Not
Twitch
just
stream.
Any RPG. Yeah, it's going to be streamed on Twitch. You can find it on YouTube. Just look up Not Just Any RPG. It'll be on all major podcasting platforms. Whatever you're listening to this right now on, it'll be on that platform also as well. Hopefully. So check that out if you're into tabletop RPGs at all. It's going to be a fun time. We're playing. In fact, Lovecraft month is probably the best month to promote this with, because we're going to be playing Call of Cthulhu Masks of Nyarlathotep for our first game. So that's starting this Friday,
which is the 16th of April.
Yep. Yes, this Friday, the 16th of April. So tune in. It's going to be a fun time. Yeah. Should we just get right into the thing, I guess?
Yes, we should.
All right. So, The Thing, 1982. We open on Antarctica, and we see a dog of some kind, a husky, a sled dog, running through the snow. Why is he running? Why is he being chased by a helicopter? Why is somebody in that helicopter shooting at him? We don't know. And sooner or later, this chase comes basically across an American outpost in Antarctica, and they come out because they're confused. There's shooting going on, and there's a dog, and the helicopter ends up crashing, and a Norwegian gets out of it, and they can't talk to each other. The Norwegian accidentally shoots one of the Americans. I believe it was an accident, if I remember correctly.
I don't know these people's names.
Yeah, that is a theme that you'll see, is that we don't know most of the characters' names. But I believe it was an accident that the Norwegian shot a guy, but he was aiming for the dog, and then he gets shot in self-defense, the Norwegian, by the cop guy, the ranger, and then they have this dog. So, they kind of let the dog in. The dog was wandering around. They're trying to figure out what's going on. McCready, who I would say is the main character of The Thing, played by Kurt Russell.
Star of the show.
Yep. He goes with some people to check out the Norwegian base. They find some disfigured remains, charred remains of what they think are people. And they're humanoid figures. Yeah, we don't know. They also find some footage, some video, as well as what looks like a tomb of some kind, it's tomb shaped, basically. And they come back with that. The dog eventually gets put up, and while they're looking over, kind of the stuff that they found, the dog begins to absorb the other dogs and turns into this hideous monster. They eventually hear it. The guy who takes care of the dogs, and he's like, "Hey guys, there's something going on."
Exactly in that tone.
Yeah. Somebody else walk up. He was surprised. I don't remember.
No, you. Goes back because
to see what's going on, and eventually McCready remembers, oh wait, the charred remains. So he calls child this thing. already turned. Some people turn, a little bit later. Sometimes they get, into contact, isolated with the thing, and they become assimilated. The scientist there finds out that the cells of this thing are trying to assimilate other cells. People are of our world, basically. And skipping ahead, he does a sanity check. Call of Cthulhu reference. Tune in on Friday. He loses a sanity check, and he goes berserk and like starts attacking people, and they get a hold of him and lock him up in the shed outside. Then they're going through and trying to figure put some. There's a monster. Yeah, it's really cool. You should watch this movie. This thing with he figures out that all of the cells of the thing are like individual. So if you take blood from some like a assimilated person who is the thing, then those blood cells become like their own thing, and then if you attack them in some way, they try and get away. So he's heating up a wire and he's trying everyone's blood. One of them inevitably is assimilated, and they kill it. And then they go out to check on the scientist. He's gone. I don't know if that's immediately after, but that's like the next big important thing. And he is gone, and so they're like, "What's going on?" They all go out there to see where he went. Turns out he's downstairs. He's building a flying saucer of some kind, it looks like. And they go, okay, well, he's clearly the thing. He gets out, and so they basically burn down the whole outpost in order to try and kill the thing. And we close on a scene. Everyone dies up to this point except for Childs and McCready. And you close on a scene. They're cold. Everything is destroyed. There's no warmth for them. They're gonna freeze to death, and they're sitting across from each other, and they're basically like, "Yep, this is it. We're gonna freeze to death. There's nothing we can do."
So then they start making out, and
well, almost. McCready passes a bottle to Childs, which Childs drinks. And then McCready gives a little bit of a look that you can decipher something, which we'll get to in a minute.
Gives him a little wink.
And he gives the camera a little wink.
And then blows him a kiss.
and then roll credits. And that's the end of the movie. And then there's a very somber note.
Or, depending on how you interpret it, a very saucy note.
Oh my god.
Okay.
For those of you who haven't seen the movie, I want you to know there's no way of interpreting it as saucy.
Well, not okay. Hey. Well, first off, it may be surprising for you to know that this movie actually did flop in theaters.
Disappointing. I'm disappointed in people of 1982.
Yeah, I guess exactly. There's a lot of reasons to be disappointed in people from the 80s, but letting this movie flop because of it, because of the scene
exactly.
at the end.
Hey, all you listeners, if you were alive in 1982, even if you were just 1 year old, you should have been at this movie.
You should have been, and
deserved it.
I mean, I don't know why people hated this film. We're talking about the logistics around this before we get into the movie, but why do people hate this film? Like Roger Ebert, the famed movie critic, lambasted this film, saying it was a stupid child's film. I don't have the exact quote, but he said it was just too violent, too obsessive violence, and basically just lambasted it as just another generic horror film that was just gross out. And this was a passion project of John Carpenter. He loved the original, The Thing from Another Planet, The Thing from Another Universe. What was the original movie? I don't know. I should probably look this up.
He's gonna look it up.
I'm gonna look it up. I got a mechanical keyboard now. So,
real quick, while you're doing that, I guess I'll just continue talking. That's actually very interesting because Lovecraft in his day was lambasted for the same reasons. Not the exact same reasons, but he was lambasted for being just another pulp horror author, basically. Just another, whatever. He's just another pulp author. He just writes more horror. Wow, whoop-de-doo. And then he ends up being, having his own brand of horror, 70 years later, 80 years later.
Yeah, and and he also hated board games and hated a lot of things. But hey, we're having a board game about him, and we're playing that too.
We're having a board game based on his work. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, it was called The Thing from Another World in 1951. There are some things that were changed. I have never seen this movie. I don't feel like watching this movie, but I bet it's pretty good. Famously, this movie was also featured in the movie Halloween, another John Carpenter film. It's just a guy. It's a kid watching it in the background. So he's been a very, very big fan, and this project had some trouble getting its feet off the ground because people where John Carpenter isn't the most trustworthy person in terms of the box office. So this flopping at the box office did kind of hurt his reputation. So he wasn't able to make a lot of movies after this. A lot of them were just like cult films that didn't get wide releases. But oh well, jokes on them. We're still talking about him now, and yeah. So let's actually talk about the movie.
It seems like, real quick for me, it seems like in hindsight, hindsight has done to John Carpenter what hindsight did to Lovecraft, basically, that we'll look back and we'll be like, yeah, John Carpenter was one of the best directors. I don't want to say of all time because you're the movie guy, and if I'm totally off base, you're gonna correct me.
Whatever.
But he's like one of
respected.
Yeah, he's a super well respected director and like one of the top, at least of his era, if not of all time. Is that doable? Can we do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And catch us in 40 years when you're looking in hindsight, when you're looking back at Not Just Any Book Club, going, "Oh, these guys were great podcasters."
One of the best podcasts of all time. Yep.
Oh, yeah. You may not like us now, but your kids are gonna love us.
Yeah. I like how you pull out that reference whenever you can.
That's whenever I can.
Yeah. I mean, I actually really like it. That's funny. All right, I guess we can talk about the movie now.
Yeah, it took us a while. We're getting there. Well, okay. Well, well, this movie, famously, the score, or we're talking about the score because the score is great. I mean, we could talk about the special effects, but the music is one of the best parts of this movie. Famously not done by John Carpenter, because John Carpenter usually scores his own films. And the reason why I'm bringing this up again at the forefront is because the score for this film got nominated for a Razzie. And if you don't know what a Razzie is, those are like the opposite of the Oscars, which are like the shameful awards, or like, the worst movies you can find. Like if you get nominated for a Razzie, it's usually an insult. So, that's something, isn't it?
I can't believe any part of this movie got nominated for a bad award. That's kind of crazy to me.
Yeah. I mean, we don't really trust the Razzies anymore. I mean, Halle Berry, famously, when she went to the for Catwoman, which was just this horrible, horrible movie, which I've not seen, but I'm assuming it's really bad. She was a good sport about it, but she showed up at the Razzies accepting her award, going, "Oh, thank you guys for saying my film was trash." Good sport about it, but like usually you don't really care about the Razzies because like we like to talk about things we like and things we don't like. Not usually things we don't like. Also, famously, The Shining was nominated for a Razzie. So, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like the Razzies has a very good track record on actually picking bad films.
Yeah. It's hindsight.
Which I guess also, like, you got to pick bad, like, for them you can't just pick the worst films. It's got to be what you
Really.
perceive to be bad films that are gonna have some traction.
Yeah.
Because you could pick some random indie movie that's awful, but like it's not, you're not gonna get any viewership from that.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna pay attention to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's low hanging fruit, but like,
Right.
yeah. But but eventually history did vindicate the score, and Ennio Morricone is probably my favorite film composer of all time. Just like he did The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. He did all those Clint Eastwood Western films. He also did one of my favorite movies of all time, Once Upon a Time in America. Just all around, just this legendary guy. And eventually the music that was not used for the thing, like the extra stuff, was actually used for The Hateful Eight, by Quentin Tarantino. So, which apparently has similar themes. I haven't seen the movie. It's just really, really long, and I don't feel like watching it. I eventually will, but I don't
I
know.
thought you'd seen every movie ever,
I
Justin.
know. I as we kind of learned, I really haven't. But the Hateful Eight apparently deals with similar themes of paranoia and isolation, and I guess that's cool. Anyways, now we can probably talk about the movies. I just want to get those things out of the way. But yeah, the music's great in this movie. It utilizes that synth score really well. Usually I notice it as like a product of its era, but like here, it not only fits as in like 80s vibe, it actually fits it like in almost like in a sci-fi kind of way. So it really works. It really ups the tension. There are some stretches of silence which really works, but like it works to make you feel very tense throughout the entire film. It's great. Um, but yeah. Um,
I I think the next thing that, like, we were gonna have to talk about this at some point. We should talk about the practical effects,
yeah,
which are,
legendary.
yeah, they are, and you can tell they're practical effects, but they're really good practical effects.
Yeah.
Uh,
Most of the effects aged well.
yeah,
It's like, yeah, like obviously there's some bit of dated stuff, but like it infinitely looks better than any CGI, even when it's at its weakest. Um, like they went through great lengths to make sure like these looked good. I was looking at the production history about like how they John Carpenter took this apprentice and basically whatever his name was. I'm too lazy to look at it again. It's the theme here. Um, but he basically dreamed about this. He put his heart and soul into it, and it really paid off. It's like it looks very creepy, very Lovecraftian.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of tentacles and spiky legs. Basically, everything looks unpleasant.
and
Um,
yeah, and and that's obviously speaking to the practical effects, but the thing with the thing is that it doesn't have a form, right? The problem with, I'm kind of jumping to another point here, but the problem with portraying Lovecraft in film and in TV is that most of the things that Lovecraft portrays are either formless or are so unable to be like perceived by our mind that they appear to have less of like a solid form. It's hard to describe or say, and even harder to show, because if you can't describe something, you can't show it. Um, and so the way that John Carpenter moved around this basically was just to have it have many different forms, have the whole have the thing basically just be uh, an amalgamation of several different um, different um, let me finish my thought. An amalgamation of several different forms. Like there's the head with all of the spider legs coming out of it. There's the giant dog monster. There's the like shambling zombie thing that guy turns into when McCready is doing the blood
which
test.
actually, that's probably that was the one thing I was about to say was probably my least favorite part of the film. The blood test scene. Well, not the blood test scene itself, because that was really tense, but like
Mhm.
when it actually gets to the part where he comes out. I feel like that was the part of the film that kind of aged the worst, because like when he starts biting the guy whole, You can see the body
Yeah,
starts limping, which
yeah.
it is amusing, but like it does kind of take away the
I
tension.
I also I also think it's one of the least creative uses of the thing as a monster. He just basically turns into like a shambling zombie,
Mhm.
and even though he unhinges its jaw to bite the thing, and it's still a good monster. If you were to just have
Mhm.
that throughout the whole movie, I think the other uses of it were much more creative.
Yeah,
Um,
actually, let's talk about the blood test scene because that was like one of the best jump scares when I first watched it because that that really took me off
it
guard.
was just sudden. It was just like out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
because like
because uh, it's great because it puts in the effort to build the tension.
yeah,
They go one by one, and you watch them do each blood test.
and
Um,
you never know what's gonna happen.
yeah,
Yeah, and you can feel just like the way that the camera does it. It's like there's a lot of close up, so you feel really tense. A lot of like just from like the neck up. It slow dolly in. You're just like cutting to the reactions as the wire hits the blood, and you just actually and credit to the sound effects here too. You hear the sound of the wire scraping the glass, and then the smoke coming out of it, which is a
yeah,
really neat way of doing just building up tension because you
right,
hear and see every single aspect of it.
yeah, and it also acts to kind of immerse you. Like all of everything the characters are doing right now is just looking to see everybody's reactions as they go, step by step,
Yeah,
blood test by blood test. So it just puts you basically in the shoes of one of the characters in this movie to just show you the faces and the torsos of the people.
yep. Which makes it really rewarding once once the fit hits the shan and the monster just comes out and like yeah, and then it cuts to a wide shot. Everybody is in frame and everybody's just like freaking out
Everybody's
and
freaking out. Yeah,
yeah,
Uh, the and oh gosh, the fact that everything that went wrong in that situation everything that could have gone wrong in that situation did rather.
yeah,
Um, just the flamethrower, Kurt Russell's flamethrower not working.
yeah.
Um,
The guy
the
hesitating.
the other guy freaking out and hesitating. Um, child on the couch just going, "Let me off!" screaming.
Yeah.
It was great. It's a really great scene. It's a shame that again, like you said, the practical effects in that scene are like the weakest of the
Yeah.
movie. But
Yeah.
I don't think it detracts from it enough
Yeah.
to make that scene any
Plus. Yeah,
less
yeah.
great.
And like honestly, I would take some mediocre practical effects over like some bland CGI, which apparently was the case in the 2011 movie. Because fun fact about the 2011 movie, it's a prequel, but
Right.
apparently they repeat all the same steps that this movie did. That's why it's called The Thing because they couldn't think of a better title, so they just kept the title. Um so for the 2011 thing, basically it's the Norwegian lab, and how that thing, how we like to keep it ambiguous and just say that just leave it up to the viewer's imagination. Well, this film kind of explains everything, so there goes that. And basically everything's the same up until the very end, with the dog coming in. But like the thing about this movie is like they 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 pitched it to the studios as like we're gonna do some practical effects. And if you do look up like pre-production of this, or if you look up production stills of this photo, it has the cast with practical effects like similar to this movie. But apparently the studio meddled and they mandated that everything was just CGI, and it looks really boring to watch.
So okay, that's actually I haven't seen the movie, but that actually sounds slightly better than what I thought. It's that the studio stepped in. It's not like a studio went, we want to make the thing movie because that
Yeah.
movie is more popular now, and Strike While the Iron is Hot. It was people coming together to make a passion project, and then the studio who took it on messing it up for everyone.
Yeah, that happens.
It wasn't born out of like let's just make this movie because The Thing is like a popular name, basically.
But then it did become that.
Right? Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
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 I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. To me, the fact that it wasn't born out of that is a little redeeming, even if the end product is still that. You know what I mean?
Hollywood gonna Hollywood.
Yeah.
But yeah. But like you could sense like CGI works, but like practical effects, even if it's like slightly worse than it would look, it's generally the better choice.
I think like the reactions from the actors is typically better with practical effects.
Yeah,
Like,
there's that too.
Right. That's probably the thing that factors the most into it for me. I think good CGI, obviously good CGI is like, not every movie is going to have, but I think good CGI is still like decent for me personally, even if I like practical effects better. But the actors, I think, and their reactions to it ends up coming out better. I think.
What do you? Okay, okay, we're gonna be talking about a different movie real quick, but the Evil Dead, the first one.
God.
Were you like?
I haven't seen that movie in forever, but ask away and I'll see if I can answer.
Yeah, okay. Were you a little bit spooked by the practical effects, even though it looked kind of fake?
I was actually. Well, the first time I watched it, I was also like 8 or something, 7 or 8. So like I was. You could have probably put on any scary movie, and I would have.
I mean, like I was like 13 when I watched it, so I'm like not that large.
But it definitely did spook me. Even when I rewatched it when I was older, it was definitely still spooky.
Yeah, it's also a Lovecraftian movie, so yeah. That's my argument. It's like, hey, this movie, this very low budget indie film with kind of fake looking practical effects, actually also was able to make those weak practical effects work. So probably in terms of execution, but again, my inner filmmaker really likes practical effects, like at least the effort put into it.
Isn't that scene with the nail from that movie?
Yeah,
I haven't seen it forever. That freaks me out still.
When it hits the Achilles heel or something like that. Yeah.
Well, anyway, back to this movie.
Yeah. This film is like what I really also like about this film is like how ambiguous it keeps everything. Like everybody's making rational decisions. Everybody's actually really smart and would make decisions that I'm doing. But the thing has to outsmart them. And the way that it kind of solves for this is like it does things off screen. Like Fuchs, he dies off screen. They just find his corpse and it's ambiguous whether he tried to burn the thing or he tried to burn himself so he wouldn't be caught with it. There's a lot of ambiguity in this film, really. Like the guy that goes crazy, do you think the thing like kind of manifested him, and do you basically just said, all right, we're just gonna destroy everything? Or do you think that he just lost a sanity roll and just went insane?
Because the thing takes him over at some point, and you don't know when. It could have been while he was locked up by himself. It could have been before, and I think that's really great for a story influenced by Lovecraft. Just keep it as ambiguous as possible. I can't speak. That's good for a podcast. Keep it as ambiguous as possible, and it
really adds to the paranoia as well.
Right. Work in basically. I think the thing with the thing. The movie.
We're gonna say that a lot.
I think the thing that really sells, like the Lovecraftian nature of it, is the fact that they start kind of figuring out what's going on. Like
it's kind of like in the middle. Well,
they figure out, oh, this thing can take over. Like this thing can kind of take over people or assimilate them, or like it eats them or something, and then becomes them, or something happens, and it can take their form. But they don't really know anything more than that. Like this, it came from somewhere else.
We know as much as they do, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, I really wish that, I really wish that.
Hold on, let me finish that thought. But
okay.
The thing is that they find out kind of what's going on, but they don't get the whole picture ever. There's never like this like aha moment where they figure out, like exactly what this thing is or what it could do or anything like that. Sorry, go ahead. I just want to finish that thought.
The thing is that I kind of wish that they kept kept the the alien. There you go. I outsmarted you. I wish they kept the stuff about the alien more ambiguous because if I had to critique the writing of this film, it would be the inclusion of like the flying UFO. Um,
Mhm.
like I
I think I'm
really wish
fine
it
with
was
it
more
at.
cosmic
I think I'm
horror.
fine with it at the end, but not at the beginning. I don't
Well,
think.
actually, the beginning was actually studio mandated, like to
Oh,
have
really?
the UFO. And they're like, oh, they want to know what the thing where it came from. Like, okay, I'll just add that in. Uh, I I I don't know. It's just me
I
because
I, I I think it works better as an homage to Lovecraft if you just have it be, you know, millions of years old, predating
yeah,
humanity.
it was like frozen on the ice.
Right, because that's what the monsters in. I mean, that's what the monsters in Lovecraft's universe in Antarctica are. They predate humanity, and they're just like out in the ice somewhere for us to stumble
Yeah,
across. Um, but yeah, I think that probably does weaken it a little bit as cosmic horror.
yeah. I wanted this to be in canon, but we can't have everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when it was just able to build a flying spaceship out of just materials from the ground. I'm like, did that, did that really have to happen? I'm like, oh, that is
Well,
weird.
like I said, I think I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it building it. I think because like maybe it shouldn't have been as flying saucery like this is an
Like,
alien spaceship, but it definitely had to build something to get out of the Arctic. I think
yeah,
because it would have frozen. This is what they explained. It
yeah.
had to have a way to get out of the Arctic fast enough that it would freeze, pretty much.
Yeah. Again, there's also the threat to humanity if it just, goes to a more civilized place. But like,
Right.
preferably, like this is just like preference. I just wish it would, we can write fan. I wish it was more fan fiction about Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should talk about the
Do-
characters because, okay,
well, what is there to say about the characters? Kurt Russell's character is a badass. Childs is kind of the
Keith David.
Keith David. Um, I'd say Kurt Russell because I know Kurt. I've seen more movies with Kurt Russell in it than any of those other actors.
I mean, I don't know
Um,
if who any of these other actors are. So,
yeah, me neither.
except for
But
Keith David. Keith David's
yeah,
awesome.
Keith David Childs is he's not is he a foil to he's not really a foil to McCready. They just kind of are both like leaders and they like bicker.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, arguably, like McCready, really strong man's everything. Like he is like the forceful leader.
yeah,
He makes some bad decisions as well. But like decisions that are reasonable.
right.
It's like from a different perspective of like a different character, you could see him as kind of like the villain. In a way, like he's basically just corralling everybody, just forcing them to do his bidding. Um,
Which is also I think reasonable because if you're in that situation, the only thing that you know is that you are not the alien. That's all. That's literally all of the information you know for sure.
but he can't
So
prove it.
right, but you can't prove it. So, but that's what I'm saying. Like you would want yourself to be in charge because all of the information you have is that you are not bad. Any of these other people could be bad, so you want to be the one calling the shot so that if something happens, you can be the one to be calling the shots and fix it.
Yeah. I'm just so glad this movie didn't go. Only the real McCready would be doing that or
Oh
something.
my god, yeah.
That thank you, writers or whoever wrote this film. I forgot your name already, but yeah. Thank you for avoiding that cliche that happens in all these clone movies.
Well, don't I guess I shouldn't say this. I was gonna say like don't they don't all know each other like that well, right? How long have they been out in Antarctica
I know they're
together?
gonna be knowing each other for no. One of them said that I've known this person for 10 years.
Oh,
There's that. So I'm guessing. I mean, we don't know how well they know everybody in together.
a
I know that some
remake a remake
people.
of this movie was announced in 2020.
Another one? We're doing
Another
this
one.
again?
Yeah.
No.
The
What could they
Thing
publish?
reboot in early development with Blumhouse. That's not that bad of a studio.
Are they? This is some news to me, guys. I didn't look this
Yeah,
up.
I mean, this is news to me too. I just saw it online.
Well, to all the future listeners who are listening to this whenever
Maybe
it comes
maybe
out,
we'll cover it when it comes out. Maybe that'll
we're
be,
gonna do Lovecraft month part 3.
yeah.
God, yeah. What were we saying?
Uh,
um,
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Keith, I don't even remember what I was saying.
Oh, we were talking about the characters. We were just going through characters,
Characters, McCree,
basically.
yeah. Yeah. I feel like he does enough. John Carpenter characterizes these characters enough that you just know the gist of them. You know, like you might not know their personality, but you know how the relationships they have with each other. Like you know who bickers with who and who trusts who more.
Yeah.
And you know that these people are not stupid. They may get on each other's nerves, but like when it comes down to it, they will like defend each other. Again, I don't think they sacrifice each other. 'Cause, you know, they're not that noble, but they are willing to get into danger to like help another person or something like that. So
Hmm.
there's that. Um,
Yeah.
like yeah, I think it's very economical in how he is able to characterize these people, without like you know going super in depth as to like you know tragic backstory on how they all got in here. You don't have to
Um,
research it. It doesn't matter.
is there? Do you think there's anything else we should cover? Or should we go to the ending of the movie?
The ending of the movie, indeed. Let's just go right to that.
Yeah.
Yes,
So the end of the movie, we described it before. They burn down the place. It's only Childs and McCready surviving at this point. McCready passes him a bottle of alcohol, and
or is it alcohol?
or is it alcohol? And Childs drinks from it, and McCready kind of gives this like weird look and kind of a chuckle almost, but he's like very weak, so it's breathy. And then it roll credits.
Yeah.
Um,
They all knew that they were both gonna die, right? Like that's why they blew everything. Because I remember them saying in the movie, it's like, "Hey, we're all gonna die. We're not gonna leave this thing alive, but we're also not gonna let the alien leave and destroy civilization." So I guess it was a noble sacrifice. Um, so I'm guessing like even if one of them was a thing, it wouldn't really matter.
Yeah, so that we didn't really talk about that, but that is basically the ending that is has been theorized, and there's I don't is there really a canon ending? I don't know, but
There was a video game that was released after that John Carpenter did say was canon, where I think both of them survived, and he said, "Yeah, that's the canon." But he walked back on this. He just, I'm pretty sure he said a bunch of other stuff that kind of retconned that.
yeah,
So,
doesn't
but
make sense. Here is my canon. Okay, this is my canon ending, which I think is pretty well respected and acknowledged ending
I'm pretty sure this is like
across fans.
we're gonna
Like
move on.
I think this is like most fans' perceived ending. So um, my canon is that the bottle that McCready passes to Childs is actually one of the Molotov cocktails that they had made. So it's gasoline, and Childs sips from it, doesn't react, and McCready's knowing look is, this is the thing. Child's got taken over, and I am too weak to do anything about it. And then he dies, and the thing basically is frozen again.
Basically, or isolated there. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm pretty sure that's the most suitable ending because like, what other ending is there?
yeah. The other, I mean, the other ending is like the thing died, and then they both die there. Like that's I
Yeah.
think that's it. I
I
don't.
mean, the really lame ending would be they're both a thing. Oh.
Ooh.
Or McCready's the thing and Childs is there. Just like, hey, I think you died over there. But that's also super lame.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's basically 99% sure the answer. Maybe
yeah.
I'll confirm it again.
Right. I really don't see I that's the coolest ending, and I don't really see any other ending. I think it's left ambiguous on purpose, but like I think that's like the best ending for it. Leaves some tension. It leaves like what happens if the thing is discovered again. Um, it really leaves like you with that ending. If that is the true ending, it leaves you with a little bit of something to think about, and some spookiness left, basically.
Basically. I mean, like, there's no other option. Like, that's the ending. Like, yeah,
All right. Well, if you disagree, you can tweet at us and be wrong. You can tweet at us and
yeah.
be wrong
And we'll
at
yell
not
at
just
you.
any pod on Twitter. Yes. You can also please like, rate us 5 stars, follow us on whatever podcasting platform you use. That'd be great. Thank you so much.
You can.
Also, what were we gonna say?
I was like, hey, you can donate to us at buymeacoffee.com or our Patreon if we ever. We'll think of whatever rewards. But hey, if you wanna
Yeah.
give us a tip, do that if
Uh,
you want.
and
If you want.
and please come check out our Twitch stream this Friday at what is it, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then you can figure
You'll
out
find the times
your
on our
time
Twitter.
zone. Right. 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/not just any RPG. We'll be playing Masks of Nyarlathotep, a Lovecraftian RPG adventure. And yeah, please check us out there. If you miss it, it'll be on YouTube and on podcasting platforms. And I think that's about it.
And please, goodbye, Prometheus.
Okay.